Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, the number one place for people who love design, arts and all things creative. I'm Jacqueline and I'm an interior architect and designer here at D&B, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 7 common interior design mistakes and how to fix them. As a designer, it's quite literally my job to know what works and doesn't work in a home, and I thought I'd share with you things that I think are making your home look and feel not so great. And I don't mean in terms of style, because obviously that's really subjective, so don't worry, I'm not here to roast your home. But there are certainly tips and rules, I guess you could say, to make sure that your home is meeting its highest design potential. So I'm just here to make your home as amazing as it can be. So if you're interested in finding out my secret design tips, let's jump in. Okay, so the first mistake is a big one that so many people don't think about, and it's not thinking about the function of the space at all before decorating. This is actually one of the most common that people don't even think about, because you just assume, oh, a dining room is for eating or an office is for working, but it runs a little bit deeper than that. For example, you may think, okay, our living room is going to be a space where we can entertain guests and wind down in the evenings and watch TV, which is what I would say most people think the main function of their living room is. But if you have kids that also use that space as a playroom in the day and their toys are everywhere 80% of the time, the main function is just that. And so then you can go about planning your living room with toy storage solutions as the number one priority, so that you can put them away easily and get that evening social space you're after. Another example for me is that I want my bedroom to be a relaxing Zen space where I can unwind at the end of the day and read my book. So therefore, I'm not going to put a big TV in there that makes me binge watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine till 2 AM. Finding out the main function of a space is one of the first questions I ask my clients. And I would say just make sure that you highlight the exact function of each room of your house so that you can have a clear idea on how to go about decorating. Another mistake I see a lot is when people completely ignore the architecture of their home and just copy something from Pinterest identically. For me, I always found it quite odd when someone decorates their house in, say, a beach house style, yet the house itself is actually not located anywhere near a beach. But that's not what I'm talking about here. It's more when people look at Pinterest and see a beautiful interior and then just transfer all of that into their home, thinking it will look the same. The reason why it never looks as good as it does on Pinterest is because the structure, location, flora, design style, and materiality of the house in the picture is completely different from your house. It's actually one of my biggest pet peeves when this happens, because more often than not, people actually remove historical architectural features from their home in order to achieve, say, a modern look. Interiors will always look better when you play to the architectural strengths of the house. There's a reason why when you see a palace, the interior usually matches. Can you imagine Buckingham Palace with an IKEA furniture set? I don't think. If you walked into a classic Adobe house, you'd expect to see quintessential Southwestern design features, and they would work really well because the interior complements the exterior. Now, I'm not saying that you have to make your home an exact mirror of its exterior, because I know that a lot of us buy older homes and then renovate them to how we want. But nonetheless, you want to honour the history and the features of your home, as it will make the interior shine even more and feel authentic. In actual fact, a huge part of why Pinterest copied interiors don't work too well is because they often pick the wrong paint colour for their interior. What you have to remember is that paint is there to create an illusion, just how contouring the face with makeup is used to add dimension. Lots of times people just get sick of cleaner tones and want to inject pops of colour into the home, which is absolutely fine if you know how to use them in the correct way. A lot of the time you'll sense that an interior's atmosphere doesn't feel quite right because of a poor use of colour. Just as a general rule, if you have a really small space, I would honestly veer away from any dark tones at all, because that will automatically make your space appear dinky. But if you have a slightly bigger space, then just be conscious of where you place your paint colours. For example, if you want one feature wall, that will in turn shorten the space. So I only recommend that if you have a rectangular area to work with, rather than a square. Or maybe you have really high ceilings and you want the room to feel a bit smaller, in which case painting the ceiling a dark colour would do the trick. There are so many different ways that using darker, colourful paint can change the perspective of a space, so definitely become clear on that before you dive into buying loads of cans of midnight blue. The fourth interior design mistake is an oldie but a goodie, and it's buying furniture because of its beauty before actually measuring it in your home. I know that it's so tempting when you're in a shop and you see something that brings you that feeling of joy. We've all been there. But a lot of times you'll buy it, come home, and the furniture is either too big or too small for your space and never fits in a space perfectly. I would never do that on a design project. I know that it might seem like my job is just picking furniture all day long, but it's not. A lot of spatial planning is involved and measuring 10 times over, and that's exactly what I suggest for you to do. Measure your space and where the potential furniture would go, and then when you're out and about, you can know for sure if that bookcase will fit in the alcove in the living room. So just don't be so hasty when purchasing furniture. You don't want to be returning that sofa all the way back to the store. Now, I know that a good majority of us love an interior that has a neutral colour palette. I get you, it's clean, it's fresh, and it adds an overall brightening look to your home. I even have a neutral scheme going on. But a big no-no from me is only sticking to one colour choice. It may seem like that's the way to achieve a modern clean look, but it just makes everything from the walls to the lamps blend into one big blob. There's no definition created. I know that we want those neutral tones to be prominent, but that doesn't mean using only one specific colour. So to add dimension to your interior, choose a main natural hue and then add pops of other ones to the space. Also add different textures and don't be afraid of adding some patterns for even more interest. Stick to your colour scheme, but make sure to vary the materials used and tones used to give a professional look. Now, you'll be surprised to hear that there is such a thing as picking the wrong rug. Lots of people buy ones off the internet, obviously, and when it arrives, it doesn't exactly cut the mustard, let's say. Usually people pick one that's way too small. Personally, in most instances, a larger sized rug is better as you can place furniture on it and it won't stand out. But what would stand out is if you bought a slightly smaller rug where the furniture sits around it. You're almost highlighting it in that way. Remember that we're using a rug to define a boundary to a specific area. So choose one that will be large enough to separate one room from another, which is a reason why I love them, because they're great for creating a room boundary in an open plan configuration. More often than not, you would be picking a rectangular rug, but sometimes you'll use a round rug if you have a circular dining table, if you wanted to accentuate curved furniture, you wanted to create a small nook on its own, or if you wanted the rug to be a main feature in your space. Texturally, if you have contemporary furniture, a funky or shaggy rug would be best suited. Or conversely, if you have a busy interior with lots of knickknacks, a simple woven rug would make sure to not detract from the home decor. Similarly to the wrong rug is when people pick the wrong art, and I'm speaking in terms of size. So often I see gorgeous interiors that are ruined by a tiny piece of art that makes the space just look strange. A common interior design mistake is where people tend to pick artwork that they like the look of before actually measuring the space where it will be housed. And then of course what happens is it off balances the whole room and disconnects from the furniture arrangement and just makes the interior wall stand out for the wrong reasons. Art should be an accent to your home that enhances your space, not makes it seem odd. Just keep in mind with wall art, usually bigger is always better. You may think that it's ridiculously huge, but when it arrives and it's in its place, it just complements the space perfectly. A good rule I use is to choose art that is just a little bit smaller than the furniture it hangs above, like this bed for example. So you can easily measure your furniture and then use that as a size guide when buying artwork. Or if you have a completely plain wall that needs filling up, you can go for a huge piece of art to make what was a boring wall now a focal point in your home. Another alternative is choosing pieces that are split up, like triptych sets or gallery walls. Although they are separate small frames, they actually do take up a large space on the whole, which is the best way to use artwork efficiently in your home. And I know it might feel obnoxious buying such large pieces of art, but trust me, your interior will feel much more cohesive than it did before. And if you guys need even more advice, I have a whole playlist of home decor and interior design tips, so I'll leave it linked down below for you. If you're new to our channel, then I just want to say welcome. On the channel we talk about interior design, home decor, tips for designers, and so much more cool creative stuff. So if any of that interests you, make sure to subscribe to see videos just like this one. I would love if you left me a house emoji down below to let me know that you enjoyed the video or learned something new, and if you liked it, then please give it a big thumbs up, because by doing that you actually really help our channel to reach even more people. Okay guys, I hope that these common design mistakes helped you, and I'm thinking about doing a part 2 because there was just so much I didn't get around to saying, so leave me a comment if you want a follow-up video. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!